Hi friends, today I want to tell about the CSS position property. So what are the different values of position property are there in CSS and how they are different. What is the difference between each position property? So in CSS there are two categories of elements. There are different categories, but with respect to position there are two categories of elements. One is that positioned element, other is that non-positioned element. A positioned element is element whose position value is relative or absolute or fixed. So element is called position when it is having any of these values. Any of these values as position property. So if the position value is static, that means it is not positioned element, and this is the default value of any element in HTML. So if you don't give any value to position, or if you didn't specify the position property, the element is statically positioned element. The word static means, the word static means okay, the word static means it just displays the order in which the document is there. That means if you see HTML document, okay, for any HTML element, so it consists of several HTML elements. It may be in the nested, or it may be in the table, so it may be in any order, and it is just the parent and child hierarchy it used to be. So a positioned a non-positioned element, that means static element, see, it just displays the order in which it is there in the document. So for example, these four elements are there in the DOM inside body. So these are displayed just the order in which they are there. So the first div is just, you can see that it is selected in the web page, and the second div element is just, you can see that is just selected. So it is just beside to the first div element. So it just displays the order in which the HTML elements are specified in the HTML page. So this is a statically pushed element. So we don't need to specify any position property to this. Even if we specify position static, it is not having any difference. So it is the default value, and so you don't need to specify explicitly this property unless to override the position property. So we'll see how what are the different values, other values of position. This first static value. So we know static element occupies some space. So this element occupies some space, some width and some height. And next element is also static and it occupies some width and height. And it actually takes the space. Static position element actually takes the physical space in the web page, and it won't be under any other element. It will take its own space. Okay, and it is not, it cannot be occupied by any other element. uh, Maybe some other elements come on top of it, but it still be there. The position it occupies, it will still be there. So we can see this in later in other, when we are checking with other positioned elements, when we discuss about other positioned elements. So we know, just discussed about the position static means it is the default value, and it is it just displays the order in which it is there in the document. So we then discuss about any positioned element. So a positioned element whose position property value is either relative or absolute or fixed. Okay, we'll see the difference between in all of these. So we need to see about the position relative property. So position relative property, if you specify to any element, so it will just be there in the same position, it won't be changed to any other position. For suppose I'll just show you how it is. So for suppose for this element I am giving position proper position relative value. So I give position relative value to div second div, but it changed. It is still in the in the same place. So position relative, even if you give, it just acts as like a static element. Okay, and it also occupies the space which it is in which at which it is there. So positioned relative will show effect when you specify top or left or bottom right value. So I am specifying some 30px top to this element. Sorry, this is I am specifying to all divs. So sorry, position relative I should specify to this element. Position relative, there is no change. Now I am specifying the top value something like 30px. So if you see, it came 30px down from its normal position. So position relative element it will just come, it will just takes left and top or right or bottom from its normal position place. So it is occupied just between these two divs, red and blue. So from that position where it is specified, where it has to be displayed, from that place it just comes. So because we specified top 30 pics, and it has to be displayed here actually, and because we specified 30 px, it just moved 30 px down. And if you give some left 20 px, it is coming left 20 px from its normal position. So a position relative element will just will just move left or right or bottom or top from its normal position, because we specified a position relative and we are giving the top 30 px left 20 px. It just came from its normal position. Okay, uh, yeah, so it is like this. But if you can observe one thing here, the yellow color one, the third div, it doesn't its display didn't change. It is just be there, and it is still thinking the before element that blue div element still exists in its space, so it doesn't know that it is moved, so it just displays like that. So that's how the position relative element works. And you can see the positioned absolute. So positioned absolute, actually position relative and position static, they occupies the space which it is specified. So even though the element moves some position left or right or bottom, but still the position, the place at which the element is specified, that space it just occupies, and it cannot be occupied by any other element. It's like that. But positioned absolute means the element it just removes from the normal flow, and it will be displayed out of the context. So we can see the example here given. So we have the parent child hierarchy here. This is a grandparent element, and within this there is a grandparent. First one is grandparent, the second one is grandparent, third is just parent, and fourth is a child. So the child element, from where it displays, we can best see by using the position absolute. So when you specify the position absolute, see, yeah, when you specify the position absolute to element, it doesn't change its position. It just a space be there. And when we specify the left and top, then only its position will change. So we are specifying left 30 px here. So it came left 30 px and top 0 px I'm giving. So it just went into till the grandparent. And if you give left 30, so it just went into top left corner. So why it went into that place? Actually, this element is just removed from the normal context. That means no other element will respect this element. No other element knows that this element exists. It just be like that. And because we specified the left 0 pegs and top 0 pegs, it came to the top. So how it went into that place? Why it didn't stop in its nearby parent? Why it went into till grandparent? Why it went like that? So the reason is like this. So the position absolute element will always look for a nearest positioned ancestor. That means it just goes from its hierarchy, from its own place to parent and then to its next parent. Like that it just goes. It keep on searching the parent elements in the hierarchy. uh, when it founds a positioned element. So positioned element, that means either relative or absolute or fixed. So if it just finds any positioned element in its parent hierarchy, it just stops there and it just displays, it just positioned from there. So if you see here, because it is not seen any positioned property, it just went into the till body and there it displayed. So for suppose this child element has seen some positioned element here. So for suppose positioned element means this element can have position value as relative. So because this is positioned, so due to is positioned, that means this element is positioned. So it just respects that. That means this child is trying to find a positioned element in its parent hierarchy from its current position. So this child will check the next immediate parent, that is due 3. There is it positioned? No, it is not positioned, so it is static. So it just goes next to its parent. So it checks this parent, is it positioned? Yes, it is positioned, because position relative we have given. So position relative or absolute or fixed, if you give any one of these values to any element, so it is positioned. So because it find a positioned parent, positioned ancestor which is near to its, to the child element, it just stops there and just displays from its place. So child position is displayed from that positioned element. Like left we have given 0 and top we have given 0. So if you see that, it just displayed left 0 with top 0. So but because you can see some space came here, it is because we have given the margin. You can see the margin we have given. So if you remove the margin, it will go, it just goes to that correct place. So we have given to check something. So this child is just displayed left 0 px on top. So if we give some 50 px, so it just comes left 50 and it comes top 50. Like that it will position from its grandparent. And it always comes on top of any other non-positioned element. So the positioned absolute element always comes on top of the non-positioned element. Not only positioned absolute, positioned relative and fixed. All these three elements will come on top of the non-positioned elements. They just displace on top. Okay. So position absolute we understood. So for suppose one more example here, because here we have given as position relative, so it just stopped here. If you don't give position relative, it goes some more level top. That means from grandparent it is displaying. So if you give here position relative, it just displays from here. So this it just displayed from there, because this grandparent is the top element. So we didn't see the much effect there. So now we can see that div3 can also be positioned elements. So we'll see what will effect will it will have. So because I have div3 is also relative, so the child is displaying relative to the div3. That means the uh, div4 is taking the top left 50 px from div3. So div3 it is taking the top left position 50 px. So if you don't give relative position relative to div3, that is parent, it goes to grandparent. So because it went into grandfather, so if you give that, it just takes from the parent. So it just like that position absolute property works. So next, position fixed. So position fixed element is same thing like absolute, but it just goes to viewport. So it just always displayed from its viewport. So if you see here, position fixed, so I will give position fixed property to this child. We'll see what happened to this. So position fixed, it is just as displayed as the same place, and it didn't occupied by any other element. The reason is simple. Even though we specify a position property, if you don't specify the left, top, right, or bottom, any one of four these properties, if you didn't specify, it just be there. It just visible be there, but it won't occupy any space for a fixed and absolute. But it still be there. So if you specify some top value something, so it just goes to to the top, and left if you specify something, it just goes to that top left. So and if even though if there is a parent positioned element, it doesn't care about it, it just always goes to the viewport. That means, so if you see here, it is a parent relative positioned, so even if parent is absolute, okay, it just doesn't care about it, it just always goes to the viewport. And even if the position is fixed, it doesn't care about its parent, always goes to the uh, viewport, and from viewport it displays. So if you see here child, for child, so we have given top 0, left 0. So if we give a right 0, it just goes right corner, and if you give bottom right 0, so it just goes bottom right corner. So it is like this. And yeah, so if you specify both bottom and top, which one will take the preference? So if you specify the top and bottom, so which one will take the preference? It usually takes the top. If you specify right and left, both if you specify, so which element will be taken preference? It is the left, because the order in which it has to take is left to right and top to bottom. So it always prefers if there is a left and top values over the right and bottom value properties. So it is like this. I hope you understand about this position property. And yeah, that's it about the position property. We'll see anything new in the next video about more detail, if there is any. We'll see.